Hi guys, welcome back to Leave Annie and Engage. I'm Stu, and as you can see, we've not gotten more construction updates this week. We are doing yet another kit build video. So the last couple of kit builds that I've done the LNER standard, the 12-ton van, and I've also done the Pico 16-ton standard mineral wagon, BR standard mineral wagon. Which is a good kit because it's more available than the Engage Society one. But what I thought I'd do is I'll give another Engage Society kit. We'll have a go at that. And this is kit number 6, and it's this one, and it is a great GWR BR Loriot wagon. As you can see, this is a very different type of wagon to what I've done so far. This is a low type machinery type wagon. This is called a Loriot because that's what the Great Western did. They gave all of their wagon code names. So these were called Loriots. So this is quite a different kind of kit to the one I've done before. This is actually a chassis that is part of the wagon. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this fits together. I have built one of these before. They were fairly easy to build. I found it quite good fun. Also show you a little bit in this about the weight as well, how we can add some weight to wagons, a very, very important thing. And yeah, so let's have a little look at what this looks like unpacked, show you what's inside it, and yeah, let's get going. Okay, so this is the wagon here. This is the kit. This is all that's inside it. We have 2 sprues with the parts on it, and also we have a couple of bags as well, and the instructions. So let's have a look at the sprues first. These are completely identical. So these have several different components on it. I'll use the scalpel here so we've got to point out. So this is the main floor here. As you can see, it's got a nice it's got a nice wooden planked effect on it, already molded in. You've also got these covers here, which are for the buffers, which will be shown a bit more. It's also nicely recessed as well. These 2 sections here on each end are for the wheels to help with the flanges to make sure they clear the bodywork. Also got, again, for a good old LC coupling, the lumps for the couplings. The couplings themselves are here. And then also we've got two locating lugs here for the actual side frames, again, which are here on the actual sprue. So yeah, so it's fairly straightforward. We've got the buffer beams, so we've got 2 buffer beams. We have got, so because obviously there's 2 floors, these are identical, there'll be 2 floors, so one will be a spare. That will be to one side. This is the actual frame itself, the actual chassis of the wagon itself, and the underframe, with some nice raised detail on it. And then this here, this is I'm not actually 100% sure what this is. It's almost like a soul bar type thing, which fits on top of this and sort of like covers the edge of the edge of the floor. And then we've also got a handbrake lever, which is a separate item that we have to install onto the on as well. There is a vacuum brake hose as well that I'm not going to put on these. These aren't going to be vacuum brake. These are going to be unbraked. So it could be used as spares for other vehicles that I might use them for. So that's quite a useful little thing. But yeah, if you do want to make this a vacuum brake version, you could do. I have been told that this wagon was picked because it's easy to be converted into other vehicle types. So that's quite a useful one. And then also the actual the bags themselves. So the first bag we've got is this one, which I'm not sure if you can see it. We've got 4 buffers in there, 4 brass buffers. So again, like the LNER van, very similar. Sorry, so we're going to have to do that on that as well. And then here we have the final bag, which has 2 coupling hooks on it, which again go into here. These look like Pico ones. And then also we've got 2 axles as well, metal axles and looks of it, with metal tired wheels too. So that's pretty useful. So they're nice and ready to go, and they'll be fitted in at some point too. The holes for the axles, by the way, have already been pre-cut out, molded in. So that's nice and useful, a useful feature too. It is very, very good idea because drilling these out can be a bit of a pain. And I've done it on some kits. So let's have a look at the instructions themselves. So here it is. Helps you getting started, some general notes on the construction, which are rather useful. Above all, take your time. Again, all of the parts that are actually here. There's also some sections on construction. Construction itself is actually not a diagram, I don't think. No, it's two-piece. Okay, so it's two-piece on here. So we've got these are noted instructions, and then also there is some exploded diagram here of the instructions as well. So that's pretty good. Yeah, so that would be quite useful. Okay, so that's useful for the instructions, and then also on the instructions as well, there's this, which is for the transfers. So here we go. These are some notes on the prototype. So it says that the vehicle was actually one of its type. It says the wagon is very similar to others in the Loriot family and Loriot's E, C, and D may be represented with this kit. It's fitted with screw couplings and a through background pipe and not permitted to running passenger trains. Okay, so and also gives you some information as regards the painting as well. So just a fair point to, there's nothing on that side, it's just blank. So just a fair point just to quickly before we start. The Engage Society, really brilliant society. I've been a member for quite a few years. They sell these kits. They are available only to members. This is a kit I actually bought myself and I've paid for it myself. So this is not me being asked to build this and feature it on a video. I'm just doing it myself, again, like the LNER van kit, which was an Engage Society kit, because I just like to point out to people what is available on the Society. There are not available, I mean, the LNER van is available ready to run from Bachmann and Farish, but this is not. This is the type that is not available ready to run at all. So this is something you could get through a kit build. As I said, I think they've got nearly 80 kits now, Engage Society. It's always a good idea to actually, it's a very good idea to join the Society if you model UK prototypes. Yeah, I personally very much encourage it. But again, I haven't been sponsored. I haven't been anything like that, just so I'm upfront and clear straight away. So yeah, so let's get on with building this kit, and hopefully that encourage you to join and to build the same as well. So yeah, let's do this. Okay, so first parts we're going to cut out are we're going to cut out the floors, the floor, the buffer beams, and the sides here as well. Might cut out the couplings as well. I'm not going to cut out the handbrakes just for the moment, handbrake levers. Just because I want them to make sure, because they're quite small parts, I don't want them getting damaged, so I'm just going to leave them in there. So very simply, just snipping the flash off, snipping the connection off. Both of them. I'm going to do the sides as well. Oh, and there's two more there as well. Did not see those. There we go. So there's one. Buffer beams, that's the other thing we're going to cut out as well, wasn't it? So there we are. That one did not want to go. Couplings, so we'll do that too. Nope, that one doesn't want to do it on that side. Let's try this side. Very simple little kit this. It's a bit more advanced actually than the other one I've done. So again, we'll just do this on the other side, but we won't remove the floor this time. No, it's going to be easier to do it this side. Sorry about that. Yeah, some of these will bend a little bit as you're cutting them out. I mean, honestly, I used to do this with not secateurs. Why did I say secateurs? There we go. I used to do this with a scalpel, and these are kind of more like secateurs, I suppose. I used to do this with a scalpel, and it was it's a lot easier doing it this way. Honestly, scalpel used to take some time. I used to sometimes feel like I think I did break a blade once actually doing it. It was rather silly. Is that on? Yep. So there we go. So that's all the pieces out that we need so far. 2 coupling pockets, 2 buffer beams, 2 sides, 1 floor. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to stop the video and I'm just going to clean these up, and then we'll come back again in a minute and yeah, have another start assembly. Okay, so that's the all the flash and stuff removed from these sections. There was a little bit on can't really see that, sorry. So there was a little bit on each of these sides of the frames, and quite a large chunk on little bits on here just as it seeps out on the mould, obviously. And a few other bits and pieces. The last thing I need to do, which I'll show you on here, is just need to drill out the buffer beams holes again. So just to help make the buffers fit in a little bit better. Got a bits of plastic there, we'll just remove those. I'm using a point, I think this is a 0.1 of a 0.1 drill bit. I think it's a 0.1, 0.1. So I don't look at all the things here. Oh, 0.6, there you go. So that's what I'm using for these, and just a normal pin vise. Just help drill them out, just to make the buffers fit in there a little bit easier. It's not but I'm using a new cutting mat, by the way, which came with my latest edition of Railway Modeler, which I'm a subscriber to. So that's quite handy. I thought I'd try it on this, see if it makes it a little bit better as to the viewing. There's a bit of a background colour, which I'm not 100% sure it is. But anyway, we'll try our best. So there you go. So there's the buffer beams, and the buffers all nice and drilled out. So what we're going to do first is, the instructions, weirdly enough, they suggest actually to put the couplings in first into these sections, which, as you can see, is quite handy little things these are. So it works quite well for those. But I'm not 100% sure why that's been done, because the buffer beam is going to sit here. Oh, there's a bit of extra flash on that I forgot to take off, so I'm just going to scrape that off. But while I do that, I'll explain. So the problem is that if I put the actual buffer beams on, I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to fit the buffer beam on if I put the coupling on first. Makes any sense. But a couple of things that it could be note, the instructions make a note of, which might just be a good thing to just mention anyway. So the couplings themselves won't go up all the way, so it's suggesting either you take a nick out of the coupling or take a nick out of the buffer beam. So let's get the couplings out. I've also got the wheels in here too, so they can be put to one side, or they can just roll around. So here's the couplings themselves. What I think I might do actually is I might deviate from the instructions completely and actually put one of the sides on. Because that just makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. I don't really like doing that with it's probably going to spill out now I do this. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, that was pretty useful. I always like putting the sides on first for some reason. Whereas I built the first one of these such a long time ago, I can't actually really remember as to how I did it. I think someone mentioned before, I don't usually like using this kind of glue. I actually use Plastic Magic. That's my preferred weapon of choice. But unfortunately, my Plastic Magic has gone a bit weird. I haven't used it for a while, and then all of a sudden it started not sticking anything. So that was a bit odd. So what we've got to do now is we've just got to glue this on. So it's resting against that the lug on the inside. But also it's nice and flat on this side as well. Which I think, if you can see, I think that's kind of done it. So that's quite nice. And then the other bit will go on the top of it. It sort of adds as a bit of a restraint on the front. So that's quite nice there. And you can see it's again against the inside here. So the reason why I wanted to put this on first is because I just want to have a look at this, because it's this part here. I'll just show you again on here. It's this bit. This is the bit that I want to work out, because the buffer beam is supposed to sit in here, but I need to work out as to how much space it is. If there was actually some sort of locating lug here, I would put it on. This is the thing, is that what I'm worried about is, because if I put the buffer beam on and I put the bit after the coupling isn't going to go in the way. And this is where, in some ways, it's useful doing things according to the instructions, but it's also useful of looking at things yourself and just trying to think about it. Where kit building can be a little bit of a problem. And it helps us when you actually build certain kits, you can actually understand as like, okay, this is how this fits together. This part needs to go on first. This part needs to go on second. So what we're going to do is that also another thing I've learned is that buffer beams and stuff like that can be an absolute pain to actually sort out when they're not really being held by anything else apart from their own weight. So this isn't going to be. So this is going to have two surfaces that it's going to have to sit against. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the buffers in now, because I need to push those in quite hard. So they're going to go in right now. Got another one there. There they all are. These are also brilliant when they fall on the floor and you can't find them. These little buffers. Because look at that. That is a buffer there. And you really can't see that at all, can you? I mean, let's zoom in. And now it's not going to focus. Let's see if I can get it to focus. See, look at that. That is tiny. So we've now got to try and put that in a buffer beam. See in there. So let's have a go. Get a little bit of flash. So it's going to pop a tiny bit of glue on it. On that one, just so we can do this one fairly quickly with it on camera. So we just need to pop it in like that. And we're just going to push down on it. So this is what I mean by I want it to have some sort of support, because it's. So I need to push that in fairly hard to make sure it actually sits all the way in. And now we're just going to do the opposite one. Hopefully, while the first one doesn't fall out. So you don't even need a huge amount of glue on it. It's just a tiny, tiny amount. And then the actual buffer itself will force the glue in as it goes in. So there we go. Probably not lined up with each other, but anyway. So there's the first one done. Now we'll just do the second one. If I can get the thing in the right place. Sorry guys, I picked that up wrong, so you can't actually see really how that's gone in. That has... I think I'm going to take that out, wait for the glue to go off, and then we're going to need to redo that one. Yeah, sometimes it happens. The holes sometimes don't really drill. I've done that before. And I've had them and they've been an absolute nightmare. See, the thing is that you want the buffers to be in a reasonable amount as well, because if they're not, then they affect where the coupling is, and then that causes even more problems. See, that for some reason has gone in at an angle. Sorry about this, guys. I'm just... And now I'll just drilled straight through. So that's a bit weird. I don't understand why that didn't... Okay, well, let's try it again. There we go. Okay, so that works a little bit better. So there's the two buffer beams done with the buffers attached. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach one. So the idea is that you can cut a slot out of these coupling hooks. So let's have a little go at that, and we're just going to use a file on the coupling hook there. I'm just going to try and take a slot out of it, out of this part. So what I might do actually is I might pause the video there, have a go at that, and then... Sorry guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a slot out of this. There's a tiny little bit here. Just need to take the slot out of, and I'm going to do that with the file. And yeah, I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, so I managed to cut that slot out. As you can, I don't know if you can see this. Let's try and see if I can put my finger behind it. There is a very tiny little slot now in the top of this arm. So if you compare it to this one, you can see there is a clear difference there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do this one as well, and then we're going to try and attach these in. I'll attach the buffer beams first. So let's get those buffer beams in now, and then we'll have a go at that. So first of all, as the buffer beams have had a nice little chance to dry, just going to pop a blob of glue. That was a bit more than a blob on that one. And they're just going to sit on the top here like this. Those are quite useful because you've got these things at the top here. So if I show you that side, look, you've got these things that are lining up with the buffers. So it's a good little way of working out where the actual thing is. Hang on, that little blob's gone there. I better just grab a tissue. Just wipe that off. It's probably wiped up the coupling moulding, but it's probably not an issue anyway. Oops, need the table as well. Another option is adding the glue onto the actual onto there, which is what I've just done on this for this one. So I think is a note is that there's two things you need to bear in mind. If you do build this kit, there's two things to bear in mind. One, they do have a slight nick in the end of each buffer beam, just about here. I don't know if you can see that. A very tiny little bevel in the end. And also, there is also a slight angle to them. Also, don't know if you can see that. I'm hoping it's going to try and focus in. There we go. There's a very slight bevel. So the bevel needs to go with the angle facing downwards. So that's the first one on that one. So what we'll do is that I'll just need to make sure these are nice and level though. This probably explains why they say to put them in after we put the sides on. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put on the first coupling. So try and make sure that the glue doesn't go into the actual pocket itself. So it's going to pop a piece of glue either side on this. We're going to pop our finished coupling into here. No, it needs to go the other way around. There we go. Now we can see why you're supposed to put these on before the buffer beam. So that didn't really go in very smoothly. I don't know if you saw that or not. I hopefully did. Hopefully got caught on here. The buffer beam itself has also been pushed out very slightly on the end here. So let's see if we can push that back. There's a bit of a gap there now. Maybe we need to take some off the edge of the front of the coupling housing. Yeah, there's a very tiny. Let's take this off. There's a very tiny little piece of flash on the front. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do is that I'm going to sort that out, and we'll have another look at that. Okay, guys, I've managed to sort this out. There was a tiny piece of flash on the very front edge of this coupling housing. That was what was pushing it out against the buffer beam. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to re-glue it again, and we'll see if it should make it a bit better. I've also done the other coupling housing as well. Just filed that down a bit. So there we go. So that's one done, and now we'll just do the other one. Very, very simply, just turn it over, do it again. Glue on each side. Something to be very important to make a note of, I literally just did it just then, is to make sure you put the coupling in. So where the thing is here, what I'm holding, make sure you put the coupling so the spike, I don't know if you can see it here, there's a spike at the bottom of a coupling for the alto uncouplers. Make sure that is pointing down, so it's pointing here, because otherwise you end up putting the coupling in the wrong way round, which won't be good. So there we go. So that's the second one in. That seems to have gone in quite well. That one. What happened to my voice there? I don't know what happened to my voice there. That was weird. Anyway, so that's that one. So the final part we've got on this little sub-assembly is we need to install the other side, which we can do, which means I'm going to have to get the wheels as well. So we have to put it on its wheels already, which sounds very, very strange, but we'll find that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a very tiny bead of glue again on this edge. All the way down. Hopefully you saw that. That was quite nice. And then make sure with the detail pointing outwards that we pop it in. So I'm using this as my guide, basically. I'm using that as a first guide. And then I'm just going to tease it out slightly from this edge. So this end is slightly sticking on that coupling housing. So that seems to have gone in okay there. And then I'm just using the angle there just to make sure that that's fine as well. So that's pretty good. They're lined up, I think. And then while it's still wet, I'm going to attempt to put the wheels in. So let's start at this end. Just going to make sure the wheel sits behind the coupling very nicely. This is the side that's slightly soft, so we can push against it very slightly. Push that in, push that one back again. And there we have it. We have a nice set of wheels there. That's slightly ski whiff though. There we go. It's better. And then we're going to do exactly the same the other side. Put in one side first. Push against it on the side that's still soft. Make sure the wheel is in line. Put in again, push it back, give it a little bit of a thing, and most importantly, give it a spin. It should spin freely, and they do. So that's pretty good. So we have it. In effect, you have a running wagon. Look at that. That's pretty good. But we still got a few more bits to do on this wagon. So let's get on to those. So the next stage we've got to do is we've got to take up the brake handle, and also these sole bars. They've got a tiny bit of flash on them. I think you can see it there. There's a very tiny smudge of flash on these. They need to be removed as the pieces come out as well. So the brake handles look okay actually in the moulding. Oh, there's a little bit of flash on the top there. So I would recommend, so I'm going to do it now in front of you, I'd recommend just doing this on the fret. So before you take it out, just remove the flash. You want to make sure, I found with these things, you want to make sure you're taking off as little as possible, or you handling them with a blade as little as possible before you start after you've removed them, because they become very, very fragile. They're still fragile even in the frets. I've broken a few of them just on these frets. I'm actually taking off the flash on this sole bar as well. Certain parts you need to remember as well, because the sole part, try that again. Some parts you need to remember of where they're going to fit. So for example, this sole bar is going to fit against a load of lugs on the actual wagon itself. There's those little raised parts. So we need to make sure that this edge is nice and flat, because if it isn't, any one of these little if a bump on one of these things is against one of these molded supports on here, it will stick up and it will look horrible. So that's always a good thing to make sure. I mean, if it's not on that side, for example, like if I forget to take this off, it's not going to look great, but at the same time, it's going to be a bit better than the part itself being at an angle. So that's an important point to work out. So we've got the other side to do. As I said, we're not going to touch the vacuum brake hoses. So we'll take these out, and then we will start attaching them to the wagon. Okay, here are the parts which I've taken out. Now, I know I said this to you about the parts, but in actual fact, one of these brake handles actually snapped. This one snapped. So I'm trying to reassemble it. Hopefully, as you can see, I think it's done. A mini glue explosion while trying to do it as well. So it probably melted half of the thing. But let's put the sole bars on first. Let's try doing that as a little bit of a exercise while those are gluing. Let's just double check the instructions first and see if they recommend putting the see what they recommend with the sole bars. Curb rails they're called, ensuring that it's running the support, and then fit the brake levers. Otherwise, a small amount of spring detail is removed to enable the brake pinning down strap to fit tightly to the side. Okay, so they need to fit on this side. So what we're going to do is we'll first fit the side rails. Just going to need to pop a tiny strip of glue along this edge. I might just pop a little bit on the actual model itself, and then very, very carefully we just pop it on there, pop it on there, and then I don't know if you can see those little detail bits there. We're just going to set it down so it rests on those, and same on the other side as well. there we go. Make sure it sits back as well. So that's that one. I think on this one I might actually just pop the bit of glue on the actual model itself. So pop that there. If it doesn't decide it wants to fall off. It's rather fiddly to get it on actually. So I feel like my other finger is in the way. So there we go. That's just going to slot down there rather nicely. Push that down. There we go. Sure it's tight on both ends. And that is as it's there. Now let's just try and attach one of these brake handles on. So it said on here, so let's tiny bit of glue and I'm just going to put some glue along that edge there. These are usually better with tweezers, to be honest, but I've completely forgotten where my tweezers are, which isn't great. Okay, so I see what part of spring and detail I need to take off now. Oh, you're just going to sit flat on there. No, you're not. Okay, so we need to scrape off some of that detail then. Let's get rid of that. So this is the kind of thing where it's like, if I had known that this is what would need to be done, I would have done this before the model was actually built. So there we go. Important point of reading the instructions. See, now I'm going to have to do some bending on this that I don't particularly want to be doing. I don't want to be handling this in this way, trying to put the pressure on with the knife. I'm putting a fair amount of pressure on that to try and get it off. So I need to get rid of that somehow. So I put another one of these, I'll remember that for next time. So now we've got that bit off, we can then push from above very, very gently. Very worried that that is going to cut that away. My fingers are going to move some stuff around. I'm virtually having to remove the entire spring moulding there because that is not. I also hate with these. Okay, so let's have a little another look again. I'm just going to pop this back on. It's the broken one, isn't it? Yeah, I don't want to use that one. Okay, that looks like that's fitting a lot better. Okay, so we're just going to pop more glue on. So I basically put glue in along the entire length of that. Oh, I've got to pick this thing up. Now I'll put some pressure on it and hope that it sticks. The other thing that's more likely to happen is that my fingers are the things that like to stick on this. Which is more than likely. Yeah, sometimes it takes a while for the thing to go off. It's getting there, I hope. Okay. Looks pretty good. Right, so what I might do is I might do the other one. But what I might, yeah, so I'm just going to stop this now and I'll do the other one. So there we go. It's a pretty handy little kit. It's a pretty nice little kit. The other side I've just briefly done that. I'm not 100% impressed by my gluing on that, but there we go. I prefer to use the other stuff. But yeah, that's it. That's the wagon basically complete. It's a nice little kit. It's an unusual wagon as well. I mean, for this, you can load on a tractor, you can load on vehicles. These could take some heavy crate loads or something like that. These also could be used as something called a LOMAC, which is a low machine wagon. So there was quite a few of them. The transfers are available for this wagon from the NGS Society themselves. They produce their own transfers. They actually do represent a LOMAC though. I did make one of these before. Fairly useful little wagons, fairly straightforward. The only issue with this kind of wagon, though, this kind of kit, is that there isn't any weight to it. And weight is an important thing on with wagons, and especially on model railways, because of the haulage with engines to haul them. Around curves and stuff, they can very easily, if they don't have their own weight, they will very easily derail. Especially also when propelling. That is another thing, when pushed, that's another huge thing that can derail wagons. And a little wagon like this is going to be pushed around. It's going to be moved around in marshalling yards. It's going to be moved in goods yards. This is just something that you could put in with some farm machinery, like a tractor or ploughing equipment or something like that. Very common sight in the steam age. So this is a highly wagon that's going to be pushed along, especially when you might be pushing this into an end loading dock to let the tractor drive off or something. So this is something that's going to be propelled quite a bit. So it needs some weight. There's many different ways you can weight this. You can make them with permanent loads. That's a very good way of adding weight. On something like a box, if you had a van, you could fill the inside of it with weight, like I did with the LNER vans. So that's a way you can do it. But with open wagons, it's a bit more difficult. Pico on the last one, as you saw, they've made a very ingenious way of hiding their weight. Another way you can do that with open wagons is you can put a load in it, like a false coal load or something as half of it, and then the other side underneath that you can then put something inside it, like a weight, a piece of metal or something like that. But these wagons are a lot harder to do because you've not got much room to hide the weight. And I like running my wagons loaded and empty. So again, not a huge amount of area for the weight to be hidden. I found the thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to add some weight to it. And I found ages ago when the NGS Society, so they used to have a shop. They still have the shop, but they only sell their own products with these kits. They used to sell other companies' products as well. I found this on their shop. I don't know who produced them. I can't remember who produced them. I want to find out who it is. I'm going to put something out on some of the forums to try and work out who it is actually after I finish this video. But these are strips of lead. And you may think that sounds really rubbish, but strips of lead is useful. It adds weight. It's a very common method of adding weight to locomotives and wagons in model railways. But these are strips of lead, roughly the right size to fit underneath a wagon. And these have literally a piece of double-sided sticky tape on the back. It sounds rather pathetic. It sounds rather useless. I personally think they're great because I don't often weight my wagons in terms of they actually need the weight. So something like this is very, very useful. I don't particularly want to go out and buy a entire strip of lead, as some people have done. And N-gauge, you're not going to need a huge amount of this as well. And if you need more, you can just stick more on the back. They're also incredibly low profile. Look at that. That's a really low profile. So all it needs to be done, really, is you to get the weight like this, get the wagon, measure up how much you want to put on it. So we're going to put on about this much, I would say. So double check that again. Yeah, about that much. And we're going to get our handy track snips, and we're just going to cut it across there. Very simple. Very, very simple. There we go. It's gone. It's been cut. Lead, very malleable as well. Useful. Always make sure you wash your hands afterwards as well. That's another very, very important one. And then all we simply do is just peel back the double-sided sticky tape. If it's still working. If it hasn't gone off by now. So there you go. Get rid of that. Get the wagon. And then, very simply, just put it into position. And as always, it's going to go from one side, it's going to seesaw. Why does nothing ever just work in that sense? And all we're simply going to do is just push it home. If that doesn't work, we'll glue it. And there's even room for a second part there if we wanted to. And that has massively changed the weight on that. That feels a lot better, just holding it in my hands. So there we go. So that's one way we can do this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just say that I really like this kit. I thought it was very good. I'd recommend you have a go if you haven't had a go for one of these. This will be being painted unfitted grey, possibly having a tractor on it, so you might see it at some point around the layout. So all I need to say now is thank you so much for watching, if you're still watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and also comment as well for any questions. Any other kits you want me to have a go at, I'm more than willing to have a go. So please let me know. I have a few others in my stockpile that I could have a go at. I have a Gresley full brake, which is actually by these as well, which is N-gauge Society kit. That will probably be a two-parter because the underframe itself is just going to be would probably be a video just by itself. It is massively detailed. I think it's a Dapol one actually that they managed to use. So yeah, I'm thinking about possibly also getting some isinglass kits. If you want me to see build one of those, one of the kits, one of the wagon coaches, I could have a go at that. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and enjoyed this. Thanks to all the new subscribers. Not all my videos are like this. I do other videos as well. But thank you so much, and welcome to the channel. Not sure what my next video will be. We'll have a little think about that. It might be to do with starting to wire up and do the control panel. So yeah, so look forward for that one, hopefully next week. Yeah, guys, so don't forget to like and subscribe and comment for more. And hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.